Hey there, Shalligators. Welcome back. Well, it's Britney ditched. I can't take credit for that pun. One of the few puns that is not mine. That is a Daily Mail headline. It is a bad day for Britney Spears. Her husband, this fucking guy, Sam Asghari. Oh wait, no, that's not, whatever. He filed for divorce from Britney after a year of marriage. He's 29, she's 41, and what the fuck is going on? We're gonna break this down because you know what? There's points and there's counterpoints. There are parts of this where you're like Team Britney, because who the hell is this guy? But there's parts of it where you're like Team Sam, because what is going on with Britney? So as most situations go, there's two different sides to see things from. But honestly, literally, who cares? What I'm interested in is one little move by Britney's sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, that to me sets the topic for this whole video. What do you do when people are here to say, I told you so? I told you so. How do you deal with that? How do you make a decision that you know you need to make in the face of also knowing what people are going to say to you? How do you do that? How can you combat that? Is that an appropriate thing for people to say? I'm going to give you a script on what to say to people. I'm going to tell you which people to listen to and which people to tell to suck a giant bag of dicks. You know, when you think about a bag of dicks, what are you picturing? I picture like, on like those chick lit novels from like the early 2000s, there's always like a girl on a bike with like a kicky scarf that trailed. It was always an illustration. And she had like a bag with a baguette in the front, in the bike basket, right? And flowers. I picture that, but it's not a baguette. It's like a giant wiener. Or do you picture like a clear bag of like wieners in some sort of liquid, like a whole bunch of dicks? What do you picture? Yeah, I don't know. All right, so this guy, Sam, I think we have pretty much all agreed that he is a gold digger. He's a gold digger. Do you know Morgan Osmond from the Bad Girls Club? Morgan Britt, she goes by sometimes. She dated him and he like left her for Britney, and Morgan she was on Bad Girls Club. She's fucking nuts. Love her. And she was like, he's a whore. Basically, he's a whore. Like, he left us and our real love and our real relationship to be like a kept man by Britney for a payday. And now it seems like that payday has arrived. I wonder very much if he just couldn't irreconcilable differences, whatever. If that really is what spelled the end of this, or if there was some sort of clause in his $10 million prenup that gave him a time. And like a pension that's vested after 30 years. Maybe his was 1, because that's how long they were married, a year. Can't help but wonder, what lies beneath all those legal filings? Maybe we'll find out. Maybe that will be exposed. He better fucking hope that it's not. He better hope that the Britney demented fanatics, and they are, don't figure out that he filed for money. He probably did. It's funny, the Britney stans have always like defended him as this amazing guy, just to compound their delusion. They're the same people who say, leave Britney alone. She's fine. She is not fine. She is far from good. Look at her. I mean, look at this poor woman. She's not fine. So here's what's going on. Allegedly, the stories, there's really not much like actual concrete information. There's no statements. There's no receipts. But what is going on? I can't even open my own phone. I am your mother. You know who I am. Oh, wait. Sam Asghari breaks his silence. Wait a minute. Oh my God, the statement. After 6 years of love and commitment to each other, my wife and I have decided to end our journey together. We will hold on to the love and respect we have for each other, and I wish her the best always. Adding, shit happens. Do you think this is like a coded message and maybe she actually like threw shit at him or something? Do you think someone was throwing dog poop around? Do you think someone was doing that? I'm sorry, I picture their house as like a house of horrors. Based on what Britney posts, we're going to get into all this. I'm sorry. Asking for privacy seems ridiculous, so I will just ask for everyone, including media, It's me. To be kind and thoughtful. Okay. I'll be thoughtful. The latest update comes after sources said that the toxic singer got physical with him several times and once gave him a black eye as he slept. That's because she's mentally ill and probably on drugs. Or if she's not on drugs now, she was forced to take drugs for so many years to perform, stuffed to the gills with Adderall, which is basically meth. I mean, it's like a dialed down version. It's an amphetamine. You put a meth on front, it's the same drug compound. That she is just a shell of who she was, perhaps who she could be. God. And of course, initially there were reports that she had cheated on him, which I don't think anyone with a brain and an Instagram account that can follow Britney Spears can fucking believe. And I'm no like Britney apologist. I feel horrible for her. And I feel horrible for anyone who has a mental health issue. It's, if she was, and this is always what I come back with to the Britney fans. They're like, she's fine. Like, she's not fine. She's mentally ill. If she had 2 broken legs and someone was like, she needs to have casts on, she needs surgery, would you be like, fuck you, leave her alone? And would you think that was helpful? Why? No, you wouldn't, because it's a physical malady that you can see and you can fix it without any sort of connotation about what that means for their character. I've got news for you. If you don't think a mentally ill person should get help, you are the one with the connotations and the stereotypes and the prejudices about mental health. Not people like me. Not people like me saying this is someone in trouble, this is someone sick. Maybe they do things that are not great in terms of helping their mental health, probably. But they need help. They need an intervention. Is the conservatorship that she was under with her father great? No, it was draconian. Was she healthier when she was on it? That's something that has been much debated. There is a case to be made for that argument. And I think a lot of you guys, because I asked me on my Instagram, like, what is the topic here? And a lot of you guys are like, we're really scared for her. Like, her last sort of like person who could control her, and I don't mean that in a negative way, maybe, is leaving. Because she came out of her conservatorship and into her marriage. She went basically from her daddy to her husband. And I think we can, again, all agree that a woman like this is not stable. And again, what is wrong with saying that and admitting that? Why is that such an incendiary, hateful thing to say? Oh, somebody sick needs help. The people who find that intolerable are the people with the problem. They are actually the enablers. Maybe they're mentally ill and they don't want to get help. And hey, if one of my favorite pop stars is only a little more or less crazy than me, I'm doing great. No, you're probably not. How many DUIs you got? You have custody of your kids? Okay. I will never understand that pushback. I think it's so damaging when we as a society are working really hard to like beat back against this idea that therapy's stupid and medication is stupid. I'm a pretty holistic person, but I have my drugs that I like. Ozempic gang, whatever. If it's gonna make your life better, do it, man. Fucking do it. Why not? Why not? So to me, the concept that she was cheating on him is ridiculous. I don't think she could take herself to the grocery store in any sort of meaningful way. However, a lot of people have pointed out that she's bipolar, which is not a secret. And there's episodes of mania, which I think we can witness tragically on her Instagram, when she's just twirling in her labia shorts that show her whole labia. I don't even know where she buys them. It's 2023. Where do you get shorts this low rise? Is it Kohl's? I feel like it's Kohl's. I go in there sometimes. There's not a lot of places to shop in Montana. I'm like, that's a whole lot of hip bone that's going to show. Anyway, she's not a well person. But like I said, bipolar, there's episodes of mania, which are characterized often by hypersexuality, and the things that have come out in the past about her. She would walk around naked. She'd be very provocative. And in some ways, you can't blame her. That was part of her persona, like sexy little baby girl, sexy little slutty Lolita teenager that was foisted upon her. That was the role she was pushed into. That's what late night hosts would ask her about. It was so inappropriate. So you think like, okay, if your brain kind of goes haywire, it's probably going to go in the direction it's maybe already going, So in that sense, maybe Sam's got a point. So this is our point and counterpoint, right? Let's get into it. Point and counterpoint. She cheated on me. Okay, first of all, let's say that happened. Let's say that happened. I think, again, we could agree that if Britney did cheat on you, it was a sexual mania-fueled episode versus, hey, the guy who does my HR account, whatever, like we're really in love. Like that's different. A stable person's affair is wildly different from an unstable person's affair. I'm not saying they don't both hurt, but I think motivation should be considered, you know? Counterpoint. It must be very difficult for him to be married to her. It's difficult for me to follow her on Instagram. I don't think I can. I don't think I do follow her because I'm like, it's sad. It's scary. I feel like I can sort of smell her through the posts. It's all just, no. I can't imagine if that person was in my home. Counterpoint. It's actually her home, isn't it, Sam? Yeah, you are the one in her home because you don't have a motherfucking job and you don't have a motherfucking business. All you have is a motherfucking dick. And I hope you lay it down, dude. I hope you're piping that girl out the way she deserves to. Otherwise, listen, even if it was intolerable to be married to Britney, she wasn't any different before they got married. She wasn't. Maybe a little. But I don't think, again, any of us can say like she was like running for state senate. Boom, she met him and she was down bad. Was she worse? I honestly kind of think so once she got out of her conservatorship. Or maybe she wasn't, but maybe she just was able to like show it more and like post about it more. I don't know. So again, it's like, yeah, it might have been intolerable to be married to her, but you knew what you were signing up for. So why did you do that? I can't think of a reason. Listen, dude, if your relationship is transactional, can't knock the hustle. We love a good whore around here, you know? Be a cam girl, be a sex worker. But be honest that that's maybe who you are, Sam. You're a sex worker. You're a sugar baby. Okay. Do you know what fucking sugar babies offer sugar daddies? Loyalty. Where is it for Britney? It's a tough situation. You understand why Sam doesn't want to be married to this person, but you also understand, again, why he would. And so you have to ask yourself, why would he kill the golden goose? Why would he bite the hand that feeds? And again, I go back to there's got to be some contractual situation that he is able to get out now. And there's a certain payout he's going to get. I feel like he's probably shopping a book deal. I don't know. And there was a report that like he's going to release this explosively embarrassing info if his prenup isn't renegotiated. First of all, let me tell you, there's no prenup in the history of prenups that is unbreachable. They're not the carved into stone ironclad thing that you think that they are, but it's neither here nor there. I don't know what he could release that's worse than what Britney herself releases. I really don't. That she's unstable. You know, like what could this be? And I honestly think this would be a horrible idea. Sam, if you're watching this, consider me your trusted legal advisor. Public sentiment will come back against you so fucking hard. First of all, society doesn't like men who throw their wives under the bus. Okay? Because either we watch that in our own family, we watch our daddies do it to our mamas, or we watched our husband do it to us, or our boyfriend do it to us, or some piece of shit do it to our best friend or our sister. We don't have a lot of sympathy or elasticity for a man who vows to love, honor, protect, blah, 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 who turns around and blackmails his wife. Releases her nudes, trashes her. Again, I'm sure she's a kind of a nightmare, but also again, you knew what you were signing up for. This was not a bait and switch. You said yourself, 6 years together, 6 years. And maybe you've had enough. I just hope that you exit with a little bit of dignity. So we've talked before in a video, it was a while ago, maybe a year or two, about the psychology of celebrity stans, which is a portmanteau. It's like stalker stans. And the concept of a parasocial relationship, which is defined as, and this is, obviously we see this most in celebrities, but you can see it in stalkers. You can see it in stalkers where one party is extending all this energy and effort and they know everything about them, and the other party literally doesn't know that they exist. And it's always been so weird to me that people will latch on to a certain celebrity. Like, the psychology of it is very, very weird. I think that they, sink their teeth into Britney Spears because, like, when Britney was in their heyday, they were also in theirs, and that's before their whole life went wrong, Or she represents, dude, I don't even know. Like, K-pop stans or Selena stans, or, what's weird is I don't feel like the Kardashians have stans. Do you? Not in the same, like, I really don't. It's weird. What do you guys think? Okay, anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, our main topic. So Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney's sister, have a very bad and fraught relationship. Lots of vitriol. I feel bad for Jamie Lynn. I feel bad because, again, her fans are absolutely demented. And I feel like Britney also reads these comments and it's like, gets all gassed up when her fans like, fuck your sister, fuck your mom. Well, where are those women now? When Britney actually needs someone in her life, have the fans been helpful in having Britney form a support system with people who might actually care about her, at least a little? Or have they actually, ironically, kept her the most isolated while claiming to love her? Well, you're not in her life. So all this love is actually not going to keep her company when she eats dinner. It's not going to get her to her doctor's appointments. It's not going to help her find a lawyer. So, but thanks. Thanks for orienting your whole life around Britney Spears. Again, parasocial. So Jamie liked a post or a tweet or something that they were getting divorced. And people are like, oh. And yeah, this brings me to our topic. The I told you so's. Now, Jamie Lynn hasn't said this yet. When you're as right as she is, you don't have to. It just says itself, which I think is the hard part when we are really in these I told you so situations. It's when they don't even have to be said. What's also difficult about it is, I use the example of the Greek chorus all the time. I don't know if this takes you back to 9th grade English and you're reading, like, what is it, Euripides and Oedipus Rex, blah. But in every Greek tragedy, there's like, this Greek chorus in the background. And what they do is they are like the thoughts. That Pixar movie Inside Out? They're like that. And they tell the real thoughts of the main character. And they're the like, we told you so, you shouldn't have done that. And they're right. They're like the Jiminy Cricket voice on your shoulder. Like, shut up. I know that. And I think we project our own Greek chorus. We pick our Greek chorus, okay? I've talked about this before. I call it the car of people who judge. Because when I was in high school, there was this group of really popular upperclassmen who would carpool together. And my friend Diane and I called it the car of people who judge. It was like Jim, Tara, Leah, Shane. And they were like hot and like cool and we're Hurley. And she's like, that is the car of people who judge. And what is so twisted, I finally dismantled this. This finally has no power over me. But it did for like years. When I would second guess myself or should I post that or should I make this move or should I do this thing? My Greek chorus, my projected judgment were those 4 people. Like literally those people. And one day I finally sat down and like zeroed in on that. It was there in my conscience, but I just wouldn't look right at it. Once I did, I could not have felt dumber. I looked up every single one of them on Instagram. Not one of them follows me. They don't care what I'm doing. They're living their own lives. And here I am, keeping myself small to not offend 4 people who carpooled together in 12th grade. What am I talking about? But that's the thing. When you start to dismantle the car of people who judged, you're like, wait, what? And yours is totally different. Yours might be completely different. But what I was doing, because clearly they weren't judging me at all. They didn't know anything that I'm doing. They don't care. They were a Greek chorus. I was projecting all of my subconscious thoughts, all of my fears, valid and invalid, right? Because sometimes fear is helpful. Sometimes fear is healthy. And like, you should not do that. I was projecting it all onto these people. And low emotional IQ people will go one of two directions, right? I will blindly obey the car of people who judge. If I think that car is like, what did she post? What is she wearing? I'm not doing it. Or they'll do the opposite. Fuck everyone in that car. I don't care what this internal Greek chorus is saying. It's wrong. No, baby girl. The answer is somewhere in the middle. Ugh. I know. It's really annoying. The answer is somewhere in the middle. And this is our life's work to look at that chorus and say, okay, what is the healthy fear? What is my intuition? What is my fear brain? And what do I listen to and what do I not listen to? Because when we take these extreme paths, I listen completely or I don't listen at all. That's when the I told you so's come in. Because people who are outside of your life, many times, are looking at you more dispassionately than you are looking at your own self. That's pretty normal, right? That's pretty human nature. You probably look at your friend's boyfriend and you're like, oh my God, Tyler, what a deadbeat. Or their decisions. And you're like, if they would just... Not that you're not looking at things through your own filter, of course. But you probably have more neutrality than they do. And when they're behaving in a very extreme way, fuck all the haters. It's you and me against the world, Bonnie and Clyde. Or when they're like, oh, you don't like those shoes? Well, I don't need to get them. No, they're stupid anyway. No, I don't need to get them. Then you invite the I told you so's. Because what you're doing when you're in those extremes is you're actually living for other people. And you might say, no, the person who's staying small and listening to the car of people who judge, they're living for other people. But I don't do that. Fuck them all. No, you're actually living for other people as well. By rejecting anything that you hear from that car, you are actually living reactively, not proactively. There's no offense, there's only defense, right? You are a kite dancing in a hurricane. You are, in fact, cold-blooded. You're cold-blooded. I know, we talk about this a lot. Cold-blooded, like an animal. Animals who are cold-blooded, they have to get all their warmth and regulate from their temperature outside. They can't do it themselves. People are like that too, only it's with self-esteem, not temperature. They need the approval, or ironically, the inverse of approval. They need the hate from other people in order to justify making a decision. It's the opposite end of the same spectrum. Neither one is good. Extremities are almost never the answer. The middle path is. But again, that's a lot more effort. There's this thing that went up, I think it was on the New York Post. It was talking about this study that some university or whatever did on masculinity. And they were talking about how there's 3 different types of masculinity. Like traditional, egalitarian, progressive. Basically, conservatives, very traditional gender roles. Egalitarian, where it's like you're somewhere in the middle, like some gender roles are defined and typical and maybe some aren't. And then progressive, which is what it sounds like, and they use the word social justice warriors. So that's, who you're dealing with. 25% were traditional. 25% were super liberal and progressive. 50%, the majority, were in the middle. Now, if we look at politics, I think we could make the same argument. I don't know very many people who are like hardcore MAGA Trumpers, and I live in Montana. And I don't know that many people anymore who are just like BLM, word soup, like LGBTQLIA, no smoking sign, Russian symbol for crosswalk, that kind of person. You talk to most people and they're moderate. They're moderates. They're like, I agree with this. I don't agree with this. I'm here, I'm there. They're much more centric. But you don't hear from those people, even though they're the majority. You don't hear from them because The extremes are sensational, right? And we can see this with politics, and we can see how detrimental that is. But do we have the guts to look at our own behavior and say, hey, am I the equivalent of a BLM word soup Russian symbol for crosswalk person? Am I the equivalent of a toothless Trump support, whatever, wearing a Confederate flag in a state that was actually in the Union, which the research, the amount of people at these like MAGA rallies who literally wear Confederate flags and then they talk about being a patriot. Do you know what the Confederates did? Do you know what they did? You might want to Google it. It's going to blow your mind, man. It's going to blow your mind, man. Gonna blow your fucking mind. So anyway, what are we talking about? Yeah. When we're in those extremes, we invite in the I told you so's because people probably did try to tell you so. But you were in a reactive state. And when you're reactive, you're in a fear place. What is fear typified by? Extreme reactions, you know? There's not a lot of nuance in fear that's fight, flight, or freeze, right? That's the F3 response. It's not like fight, flight, freeze, philosophy with an F. Philosophize, you just sit down and noodle it out. Nope, you go back to your animal brain. And people are trying, because they have neutrality and they're not in a fear state, and they're trying to tell you like, hey, I don't think this guy is good for you. You might not want to drop out of school to become a Twitch streamer. I don't know. That's really difficult, and it takes a great strength of character to pull back and be like, let me listen to you. So if you are watching this video and no one is currently telling you I told you so, this is the part for you. That's what you got to do. You got to work on this middle path life, all right? And when you can take in data, feedback, and opinions from people you trust, and you can look at them, you can spread them all out on your little mental table, and you're like, okay, no. Then you will avoid these I told you so's because even if you make a decision and it blows up in your face and someone's like, I told you so. And you're like, you know what? I listened to you. I took in the data. I analyzed it. I ran my own risk analysis and I made my decision for me. And it didn't have a great outcome. And so I will pull back and I will learn from this because I never lose. I win or I learn. And actually, Olivia, I think it's a little shitty that you're saying this. So how do you deal if people are saying it? If they are going in on you, it's like, Hannah, we told you so. I don't know, like we told you so. Here's how you neutralize this. First of all, remember I said a few seconds ago, take feedback from people you trust? We need to expand on this. I get feedback all the time. Drake has a new book of poetry out. I haven't read it, but I probably will. And there's a quote, and my friend used it as his Instagram caption, and it's, I wouldn't do that if I were you, says people who couldn't do what I do and will never be me. I wouldn't do that if I were you, people who could never do what I do. I love that. People don't get to weigh in on your life. They don't get to have a vote if they're not moving the way you move. If you don't admire this person, if you wouldn't switch lives with them, even for a day, tell them to fuck right off. Tell them to fuck off. They're probably not significant in your life. Or if you're like, no, they are. Okay, then why? I mean, if you don't admire or respect this person, and you don't owe anybody admiration or respect if they haven't earned it, why are you now listening to what they have to say about your life? Because I'm related to them and they live in my house. Okay. There's a difference between hearing and listening. You might have to hear it. They might tell you that over the dinner table or while you're folding laundry. They might share their opinions with you. Listening is something different. Listening is absorption. Listening is turning that into action. You don't have to do that. But hey, in service of the middle path, why don't you sit them down? You're like, can you explain to me why you think Jackson is such a bad guy? They will probably have an answer. And you know what? If they don't, if their I don't like him is rooted in just being a hater, being jealous, trying to keep you small, that will also illuminate itself. People who have a factual argument have facts. People who have something legitimate that they're backing it up with, they can tell you. They're like, well, he has a credit score of 200. He lives in his mother's basement. He has 4 DUIs and 2 baby mamas. and you have an advanced degree. So that's kind of why I'm saying I don't think Jackson's really a great guy for you for the future. But are you woman enough to listen to that? Not just listen to it, but hear it. But what if people are coming at you a little harsh? Or you know what though, when you're in an I told you so situation, it doesn't have to be harsh for it to be harsh. I get it. You're just like a turtle without a shell. I totally get it. I totally get it. When you're like embarrassed and hurt and no one could be madder at you than you are mad at you. And that comes from those times when you feel that, I want you to directly link that to the extremities. I am listening to the car people judge. I will not listen to anything they say, because that's where it comes from. You know that the way to live is the middle path. I'm going to listen to other people's opinions, but I will recognize at the end of the day, that's all they are. They're opinions. And I can say, oh, that's got some merit. That one, I see where you're going with that, but I don't think that fits my situation. I don't think that's what I want to do. It doesn't sit right with me. You can take in this data dispassionately from a scientific point of view, a science-based approach. And you can say, looked at this, weighed it out. This is what I'm going to do. And maybe it's the exact same thing that someone in one of these extremes would do. Maybe the way it plays out is exactly the same. But the fact that you did your own scientific method to get there means you won't be, the I told you so's won't hurt that much. I'm not saying they won't hurt ever, but they won't hurt that much. But let's say that they are hurting and you're at brunch and you are crying over this guy who is love bombing you and everyone told you so, and here you are, and you're crying. I think you can say, before I weep into my mimosa, please understand that I actually don't need the Monday morning quarterbacking right now. No one is dealing with the fallout from this other than me. No one is dealing with this, at least not to the degree, okay? You are my friends. I apologize for not listening. I have my own reasons for not listening. And listen, I don't sit here and I told you so, you guys. And there's plenty of things I could have told you, but I don't. So I would really appreciate it if you could treat me with some like gentleness right now instead of like, because you know what? Your real friends would be like, oh my God, of course. I did tell you so, but of course, you know? And the fakes will love it. Blood in the water. Guess what? The people who turn on you, it's actually not a turn. That's how they always were. They were just hiding it. The people who are there to shit on you have always been shitting on you. You just never heard it until now. These people who are fake friends, yeah, man, they always have been. And as painful as it is to look that in the face when you're clearly already going through something else, I know. It's like, did I need this today? No. But I would rather know what someone's about. If I have an enemy behind the gates, I want to know. Life is hard enough. And, ironically, it's people like that. It's these frenemies that can often prevent us from taking the middle path and taking in data in a real way. And I think that that's something to sit with too. Why don't I want to listen to what Ashley says? Why will I not take in the data that Joan is trying to give me? Maybe I don't trust them. Joan, if you're watching, hi, I love you. I trust you. I'm sorry. Maybe there's something under there. It's like she's not happy for me when good things happen. And she is the first one to pull up and rub my nose in it when things go wrong. I bet you don't want to listen to what she has to say. How could you trust somebody like that? But listen, this is the time to be like, we're done here. We're done here. You don't have to make it a big dramatic thing. What if you don't have a choice about coming clean? Because, you guys, we all know the situation when we're like, oh my God, so there's this guy, and you tell everyone too soon. You tell everyone, and you maybe forget just how many people you told. I'm a YouTuber who talks about her dating life. I understand this. And then 10 days later, 2 weeks, whatever, that friend pops up again. Oh my gosh, how are things going with you and James? And you're like, and you're just humiliated You're literally just humiliated. I have gone through this 100 million times in my life. It's like my default setting. So there's this guy, never mind. It is brutal. It is brutal every time. It's brutal every time. You know, part of the brutality is I should have kept this to myself. I don't know why I felt the need to tell everybody because now it's blowing up in my face. Let me tell you something. People who love and care about you, unless you're making like catastrophic mistakes, like, well, we met on a prisoner pen pal set. They're not going to judge you for putting yourself out there, for getting excited. I remember one time sobbing to my therapist. I tried to cancel the appointment because I'm like, I am literally so embarrassed about this thing with this guy blowing up out of nowhere. I cannot even talk about it, nor can I pull myself together to the point where I could even talk about anything else. I am a horrible sponge soaked with tears right now. And he's like, just come on in. And I kept saying like, I'm so embarrassed. I can't even talk about this. And he's like, why are you embarrassed? Because you fell for someone who treated you the way you wanted to be treated? Because you saw something good in someone? And I was like, yes, I'm embarrassed. I was so gushy about it. He's like, you're embarrassed that you're hopeful. You're embarrassed you have emotions. You're embarrassed that you're optimistic and you believed in someone who made you believe. And, you know, the answer was like, yeah, man. And I really tried to sit with it when it happened and was like, what is the root of this embarrassment? Do I need to go slower? And for me, it was actually, it was embarrassment. It was not just embarrassment. It was horror. It was a deep terror that this feeling that I got from this guy wasn't trustworthy. And it was green flag, green flag, green flag. And I believe me, I like mined my memories for the red flags and they weren't there. And I'm a pretty good judge of character. They weren't there. You know, and that is when things just get really scary. Because when you hear "we told you so," and you literally can't see it. You literally couldn't see, and you still, maybe where you're at, you still can't. You feel so stupid. That's where the humiliation comes in. Everyone saw this and I didn't. And you know what? I still can't even see it. I'm pretending, oh, you're right. Yeah, no, there were red flags. No, there weren't. When you get swindled by a con artist, that's happened to a lot of people. When you believe a job and you get so excited, oh my God, they're fine with remote and we get Chipotle's on Friday and they're going to promote me. And it's a lie. It's just a fucking lie. And you got conned. And people are like, I told you it was too good to be true. I told you it was too good to be true. That's a big one. I told you this, too good to be true. And then you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, so what? Things that feel good, things that check all the boxes. I'm not supposed to trust that either? Damn, man. I know. It is so brutal. Like, what are you supposed to do? Have this like board of directors in your life and you turn every decision over to them? That's great if they're unimpeachably devoted to you. If they're not operating out of jealousy or their own complexes, their own fears, their own reactivity. Yeah, dude, that's great. But that's not really how people work. And honestly, that's why I love the Shallon, because it is truly the most neutral advice you can get. There's so many of us, and it's like you can kind of tell if someone's giving advice from their own filter, and they'll like call each other out on it. And she's like, no, you're right. Like this happened to me, and a guy who was doing all of those things turned out to be a complete fuckboy. So I'm just telling you, like, watch out, because that was where it went for me. And another girl's like, oh, I married the guy who was acting like that. So you never know, which is really why I like it. It's a great crowdsourcing of wisdom. Really the most neutral you're going to get. And people who would like have this inherent agreement of caring about each other. Whereas like on Reddit or something, they don't, you know, they don't. Anyway. I think the I told you so's, they do get They get easier when you're used to doing those emotional autopsies on your decisions, you know? But when you act from a place of no autopsy, this extreme or this extreme, oof, those I told you so's really hit. They really hit, you know? I get a lot of I told you so's in business from my mother. We butt heads about it a lot. I'm like, I'm obsessed with my mother, but she doesn't do this job. And there's a lot she doesn't understand, of course, you know? And it's always easy. And I know everything she's saying is coming from a good place, but I also know that almost every piece of advice she gives me is right. And it drives me fucking nuts. It drives me nuts how right she is all the time. And when she Monday morning quarterbacks me, it's usually like you didn't read the fine print. You didn't take time. And when I have taken time, really, really, really look over those contracts, really, really, really investigate this person I'm going to hire or this person I'm going to get into business with or this app that whatever it is. If it still blows up, I can say with confidence, I can look myself in the eye, I can look her in the eye, I can look anyone in the eye and be like, I did everything I could. And man, I just got bamboozled. They were a better liar. The terms changed. It didn't. I did my due diligence. Same with dating. If you're like, no, I don't think I need to follow him on Instagram. It doesn't matter. No, I don't need to like look at who that chick was he was out with last night. When we can just look the ugly shit in the face, which is part of walking that middle path, it is the opposite of being this reactive fight, flight, or freeze person. When we can have the guts to say, I'm going to Google this company. I'm going to investigate this guy. I'm not going to sleep with him right away. I'm going to ask former employees, what was it actually like working here? When we can do that, the I told you so's, you know what you can say? You did tell me so, and I investigated, and here's what I found. And guess the fuck what? You probably would not have made a different decision. I wouldn't do that if I were you. You can't be me. You can't do what I do. So sit down. I'm not saying it's ever going to be not painful, but again, I think when we can look ourselves in the eye and it's like, I made this decision for me for a reason based on data, neutrality, and of course emotion, of course, that's all right. You know, we're not AI for God's sakes. We're allowed to like make decisions based on how we feel. Hello? But when we are aligned with making decisions for us, not for these extremes, not out of reactivity, those I told you so's are going to make much less of an impact. Tell me what you guys think about Bertner. How messy do you think this is going to get? I really just worry that, like, who does she have on her side? She hired Laura Wasser, that attorney who's done like Kevin Costner's divorce, Kim Kardashian's divorce, and you know, like those are big people, but who the hell knows how those divorces turn out? We actually don't know. I don't know. Or we maybe, if we know like who gets what custody and who gets what houses, how long did they draw it out? I don't know. I'm sure the Laura Wasser's like a fantastic attorney. And if I ever got, you know, divorced again, yeah, you want the big guns, but just from an emotional standpoint, who is on her team? Do you think her stands have actually created her isolation? Not ameliorated it, but by demonizing anyone who is close to her, her family. And I understand that I am naive. I understand this. I'm a bit of a Pollyanna about family, and I'm not a Pollyanna about anything, but whenever I hear about like someone's life blowing up, I'm always like, well, just go home to your mom's house. Just go be with your mom. You know, I just automatically think it's like, well, your mom is going to be, your parents are going to be there. Just go there. You know, you don't have to struggle because I have a mom who's there for me and I understand, you know, I have to take a beat. I'm like, girl, not everybody has that. You know, it's very horrible for me to conceptualize. It's so horrible. I can't even really accept that it's true, that like your family could be like so incredibly toxic, you know, but I know I sound so naive. I know that I'm never naive, but I know. But I understand that is very often the case. And you, as an adult, or as even not an adult, have the divine animal right to protect your peace from all enemies, foreign and domestic. You have the right to push people away, to build fences, to create boundaries and enforce them, even if it's blood. Even if it's blood. Blood is not thicker than water. That whole statement is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. This came about during the Crusades when men were fighting and dying alongside of each other. The blood of the covenant, the promise, this battle, this goal that we're chasing. A lot of people interpret it as the covenant of Christ. The blood of Christ is stronger than the water of the womb, than your family. Either way, it basically means, yeah, family's great, but there's things that are stronger. Your peace, your friends, your chosen family, your spouse, your partners. Shalligators. Us. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Bertner. I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her. Where do you guys stand on this? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think the monster under the bed is? If there is one, what could he release? Tell me all your thoughts. And yes, we still have the Kylie boob job video coming. We have the Ozempic weight loss journey video coming and the solo travel video coming as well. I love you guys so much. See you later.